Hello and welcome back to coverage and continuation of round 1 of the 2023 European Open. We are happy to be bringing you round 1 back 9 FPO feature card coverage brought to you by MDG Media. We are here in Tampere, Finland at Nokia Disc Golf Park on the Beast, a prestigious and challenging course known across the world as the best players have gathered here to compete on a grand stage. Action is continuing and very exciting. As we take a look at the overall standings here, Tele Tumsalu, your solo leader at 3 under. We see 3 players just behind her tied for second, Kristin Tattar, Henna Blomroos, Evelina Salonen. And in 5th, Anneli Tõugjas-Männiste, Heidi Leina, Like Lorentzen. We are still early in the tournament, so the scores have not separated too much, although the back 9 can offer just that. Some exciting holes still to come. And we kick it off here on hole 10, a 230-meter par 4. Players off the tee will need to throw across the horizontal length of this football field to a straight to left fading shot. You have OB, left and long if you do not hyzer out at the correct time. You then want to go 90 degrees towards this narrow green sloped left to right on the hillside with OB on all sides, where the basket lies behind these small guardian saplings. 2 straight shots if you have the power. Otherwise, you can place yourself nicely within the fairway and chip your way up. We see Kristin up first. Looking like a good line. A lot of good drives will push towards that tree and fade before it. And she puts herself center fairway in a nice position to get around the bend. We see Anneli here with a similar line, but a touch more height. She gets that hyzer flip up to flat, and pushing that left side OB line on the fairway will also allow them to cut the corner a little bit tighter and reduce the distance required. This is Henna now. You can see that she has a lot of speed out of her hand, a good compact form, and a ton of snap as she fires way up there into the sweet spot. That is exactly where you want to be. She can now go sideways along into the narrowing of the green with more of a straight shot than any sort of big hyzer. That's the benefit of distance here. And Catrina Allen, speaking of distance, she's known to give a good move on these discs. And you see, just like that, she is in a great spot up on the fairway as well. Anneli shaping the hyzer around the corner. She needs to ensure to not fade too much left as it may pinch her entrance to the green from the ideal location, although that looked to be quite nice. Also, you have OB to the long right side of this entrance. Very easy to find if you flip your disc up to flat, and Kristin even pushing that there, but fading back nicely with the overstable finish. She'll have a short chip left to the green. Catrina Allen playing the power hyzer. You see the nose angle control there, low and driven to push forwards and get as much distance as possible. And the spotter jumping out of the way, looking like Catrina's drive may have caught something, trying to skip back in bounds, but unfortunately receiving the OB. I think with that aggressive line, she crossed the out of bounds line very early. Henna as well playing the long swinging hyzer, and she skips the hay bales up to the green. That is some incredible ground play to put her right up there. 2 amazing shots from Henna Blomroos, leaving her with a circle 1 birdie putt. This is Anneli's 3rd shot. Just looking to get close. I believe she's throwing her tactic here. And great touch and trust of the overstability. Kristin opting for the forehand approach. She'll need to control the fade to the right. And you see her doing that by playing up to the hillside. Very nicely done. She'll be left with a short par. And here is the debate, I believe, about Kat's disc. You see in the foreground here as the 3 card mates deliberate on whether or not it is safe. And the lie is determined. She gives a soft bid towards the basket, fires a touch long, but controlling her pace, is left with this short putt now. And a little bit low from the hand. Unfortunate after a slightly unforced error to have a compounding error on this hole with the missed putt, but Henna Blomroos with an amazing line has 2 bombs down the fairway and then makes the birdie putt. An incredible 3 here. We see Kristin with the wide straddle for par. And she finds that as well. Good composure on the awkward stance. This hole actually averaging 4.88 with a very small single-digit % of the field birdieing in the FPO field. Henna finding that elusive hole 10 birdie. And Cat will be tapping in the double, unfortunately, with that early OB on the second shot. We move to hole 11, a 101-meter par 3. You have OB to the left and the right, and the green tucked away behind the trees with a pond obstacle there. A lot of players will opt for the big swinging hyzer to try and crash the trees on the right and enter the green. You can go for the more aggressive hyzer flip up or turnover line directly towards the basket, but you can see just how skinny this gets with danger on all sides. This green is extremely well protected and requires great accuracy to enter cleanly. Henna now has put herself at 3 under. A great round. She's playing the wide hyzer, looking to crash through this gap between the trees over the pond. And she fires it long. Quite a friendly spot to be. She looks like she'll be putting towards dry land. Kristin now looking to play the same line. A wide hyzer with the overstable disc, and she hops the island with the skip. The margins are so close, but she manages to sneak her way to just outside bullseye with an immaculate line. Wow. A great throw and a great result. With that skip, we see Anneli crashing the same gap, but unfortunately coming up just a little bit short into the early branches and will fall into that hazard water. OB, rather, that water hazard. And she'll be putting from the short side. Cat now also crashing through, but coming in over the OB into inbounds. She will be left with her birdie putt as well. Some solid drives on tricky hole 11. This is Anneli from the short side of the pond for par. Oh, and she drains it. Throws the hands up. Incredible putt from way out there. And an amazing par save at a crucial moment. Sitting at 1 under, she retains her under par status. And let's get another look at that incredible deep putt from Anneli Tõugjas-Männiste. Just catching the right side and sneaking it over the rim to the crowd's delight. Incredible putt. This is Henna for her birdie. In a great spot. Able to give it a confident bid with no real OB or waters in the way behind the basket, but unfortunately just a little bit out the right side. Catrina Allen even closer now. And sticks it on the left, although she's in there and she finds her birdie. A great bounce back after a double bogey on hole 10. Great to see a player regain their composure after a tough hole. Laser focus, and Henna there ensuring to get that par. Kristin for her birdie. A simple tap in, snuck her way into the bullseye. Some incredible drives from our FPO feature card on hole 11. We then move to hole 12. A 183-meter par 4. You see this initial gap that players will need to hit off the tee between this pine tree on the right and the bushes on the left. You have a rolling hill and a right to left slope the entire way, meaning anything backhand that has some fade will often filter to the left. A lot of players will play something aggressively turning over, potentially the backhand roller or the power forehand to ensure they fight rightwards as you slope through this fairway around all of these trees, navigating the low ceiling. The basket is up here near a drop off to the left with OB long and to the right, as well as the slope. If you can do it, forehand plays very nicely on this hole for the right-handed player. Kristin now playing the turnover, and she hits the gap very nicely. Hopefully her disc getting to flat and not cut rolling on the Anheuser angle. As we see a good drive from, I believe, Cat there. Fading out just a touch early. She'll be pinched to the left of the fairway. Henna now. You see the aggressive turnover with the understable disc to try and mitigate the leftwards fade that, for example, Cat found. And Anneli now. Just clipping the branches and fading out left. Looks to be totally safe, although not as much distance as she might have liked, but a great shot here, matching the grade of the hill, hitting the nose angle just perfectly to get under the low ceiling and push the distance. Great execution from Catrina Allen. Kristin now. Firing the low hyzer, she looks for the ground play, gets a touch of slide, but will be left still a little bit short of the basket. We see Catrina Allen pinched on the left side, is going to be looking to play the big hyzer as well. Actually looking for, I believe, an aggressive roller, catching a root on the way. She spins out and is once again to the left side of the fairway, although some distance gained. This is Henna's lie off the aggressive turnover, and she gets a nasty kick off a nearby tree down and to the left. That will significantly reduce her entry angle to the green, as we see what she's left with here. Incredibly punishing Cat as well. Both of them getting caught by the hillside and sloping right to left. Hopefully pitching back out into safety. We see Anneli here from a great spot. Has a straight to soft fading look now. An approach to the green. She gives this a little bit of height and just pushing that drop off. Looks to have stuck it at the bottom of that plant, leaving her with about 5 meters. Henna leaning on the Anheuser forehand now, flattening it out just a little bit early, although she'll be left with a putt for her par save. Cat here, playing the soft hyzer into the hill. A very safe play that nets her a good result, hitting that tree. She's also about 5 meters away. And Kristin just a soft touch right down the middle, exactly as you wanted. This is Henna now with a tricky save, I believe, for par. Firing just to the right, you saw how wide her straddle stance had to be off the knee. This is Anneli from the bush's edge, and she connects very nicely, saving her par. Cat securing her bogey save there. Finding some troubles early on, as well as further down the fairway. Able to enter the green, though, and stick her putt. And Henna with the double had a similar route to Catrina Allen, but just not connecting with that late putt that Cat did, hence the extra stroke. And Kristin here tapping in her par, stress-free. A great game plan and well executed for her. Hole 13, a 187 meter par 4. A very important gap to hit here where the drone flies. Between these two early trees, the fairway then begins to widen and open up. As you hit this early tunnel, you want to get something as far over this small cresting hillside here. As you break out into the open fairway, it begins to then bend softly right to left, as well as having a soft downhill slope. A lot of players, if they get into the open field on their first, will have a great look, although that requires a great touch and distance. You can then crash the green from the left or right side of the tree with the backhand or forehand as you choose, depending on your lie, with a slope directly behind the basket. And OB long, players will need to control the speed that they come in on, as well as hit this tricky initial tee shot if they want a chance at birdie. We see Kristin fading just a touch early with the overstable driver forehand, although looks to have kept it safe. There's a lot of room to use out there, even though it might not position you in an ideal spot. Anneli also hitting the gap, but not quite getting the full flight she was looking for. Still an absolutely fine spot to attack. Catrina there, not getting the height or the turn required to have an open look. Once again, will be slightly pinched on her hyzer look. Henna, just hitting another tree, kicking down into the left. One of the most difficult places to try and save par from. And she gets an Anheuser forehand out there towards those darker red and purple trees, which is a sign that she could go for the green if she's lucky. Anneli with a big hyzer down the hill. This is a great distance shot, and she even pushes it all the way to the last guardian. She will have a long look at the birdie. Kristin pushing forehand, but finding some foliage along the way. Does spin out into the early hill. She's still left with about 60 or so meters to the green. Henna here looking to save par, giving a huge hyzer bomb right before that last tree as well. In a similar spot to Anneli, I think a touch shorter. Catrina here. Pushing the swinging hyzer and gets the ground play. An incredible shot from a compromised position. She is just at bullseye's edge. Fantastic. We see Kristin now looking to play the backhand right side entrance to the green. Gets this slightly flipped over and not quite the full fade to the left, although she will be looking at the basket. It will be slightly treacherous putt with the drop off right behind it at that range. And we see here she chooses to lay this up or go for it. And she just connects with it with no fear whatsoever of the danger long. An amazing putt and par save from Kristin Tattar to put herself to 3 under for the event. Let's take another look at that. Just a pop of the wrist, strong side, great height and commitment. You see her using the lower body to generate power. Nicely done. Henna with a quick layup there. Will be left with a tap-in bogey after hitting the early trees and having to scramble her way to the green. And Anneli pitching up as well. Both of them recognizing the danger behind the basket. And Catrina Allen hitting the pole low to the ground. Low to the cage, and spinning back out towards her, rolling away for her birdie. She saves the par after an unfortunate mishap on the green and a little bit of a spit out. Looked to be a fairly solid putt, although not enough to stick it. She is left with her par. Anneli as well as Kristin and Henna with the lone bogey on 13. A hole that averaged 4.63 as a par 4. Hole 14, a 120 meter par 3 with a late gap. The fairway bends softly from left to right. For the majority of players, a turnover backhand through this gap here as the drone flies is the ideal flight, although the hill and green going uphill, requiring a great distance and touch to enter and attack this green. The late gap being the first gatekeeper to this birdie, and the second one being the distance. You need both in order to secure the 2 here. I think a 3, the most common score by far on hole 14. Not particularly hard, rather not particularly easy to bogey, but very difficult birdie to find as well. The 2 and the 4 quite uncommon. We see a great piercing shot right there. As we see Anneli now getting her flight turned over, as well as the soft flex. Also a good spot, just a little bit short. This is quite a lot of distance to hit on this angle. We'll see if Catrina Allen has it. Playing more understability out to the left side. She has a hyzer release, slow turn, but not quite able to break through. You saw Kristin get more of a stable disc on anhyzer out of the hand. Henna here with that slow turn around the corner. She navigates it beautifully and gives herself a long look at the birdie uphill. A very nice shape crafted by her there. Cat just pitching up with the placement shot. Very nicely done. This is Kristin, another look at birdie. Gives it the big jump putt and fading just short. Also laid up effectively while giving it a run. And Anneli looked to just be laying it up for 3 as well. Looking to mitigate the danger. We see Henna Blomroos going for it. With the high release, she really wanted that one. And an amazing drive to put herself in position. As we now look at the par frame, you can see why the most common score is the 3. Both the 2 and 4 fairly difficult to find, as there's not too much danger. Even if you don't hit the gap, you're left with a reasonable upshot into the hill. Kristin, only 1 birdie in the back 9, otherwise clean. We see Anneli taking all pars here. Henna on a little bit of a roller coaster with Catrina getting both birdies and bogeys here in the back 9. We have 4 holes left to go in round 1. This is hole 15, a 145-meter downhill par 4. A lot of players are going to be throwing into this landing zone here, allowing them to then pitch up and over the Obi River to this island green with Obi on all sides. It's important that players try to keep their discs down the middle, as you see these guardian bushes to the left and right can really severely be an obstacle to your access to the green if you're not in an ideal landing zone. Although playing downhill, this requires a very nice control of your angles. We see Kristin up first. Pushing this out and to the right beautifully. If she can catch some fade just short of those bushes, looks to have been a great line from her. Anneli now. And she sends this one over and to the right, turns it, and it does not find any fade. That will be a very difficult position to play from. Catrina here. You'll notice that going downhill, a lot of these players are going to really try and push the nose angle downwards. But she's done a very similar thing to Anneli, getting it turned over early, and that does not come back. She goes OB to the right side. And will be left with a tough position, even just to try and save a par or bogey. Henna bombing this one, going for the green. And although she has crossed, she does not remain in bounds, although has made great progress up there. You really see her displaying the power that she has, understanding that she does have the power to get all the way to the green in 1. She chose the aggressive line, and although she finds the penalty stroke should be an easy par save from where she crossed. We saw the pitch out there. Catrina now. From the early right side OB, playing the wide spiking hyzer, and she digs it into the green, just a bit long. Some ground play will put her a little bit longer, and on that elevated basket, still not an easy putt by any means. Catrina Allen from about edge of circle. This is Anneli playing the touch forehand. Leaves herself Also a little bit of a tester distance, especially on the elevated basket, although should be no worries. She's a very aggressive putter. Really likes to go for it. Kristin with the patent pending, fading out a touch early. Although she was safe, had to compromise her stance. No walk up there, resulting in a slightly longer putt. Henna looking for birdie still and laying it up. Will take an easy 4 as you see her game plan there. Netting her quite an easy 4 and a chance at a 3, even a 2 if she had stuck it. And Catrina Allen sticks that putt. Amazing par save from her there on 15. Great poise. We see if Kristin can follow up. Just a touch low. Anneli connecting. Very nicely done. She too got turned over early as she continues her streak of pars here on the back nine. These are some very difficult holes. All of them averaging over par for the field. We see the par frame on hole 15 for our feature card. Here we are at the infamous hole 16, a 222 meter par 4. Players off the tee will need to throw a big placement hyzer to try and get anywhere near that walking path intersecting the fairway. They then have a decision to make to push their way up the fairway and try to close the gap to the island, or if you have a really good drive, try and cross in one throw to get there and have your birdie putt. This hole has quite a specific and unique rule set in that if you throw out of bounds, it is not a penalty stroke, just a rethrow from where you lie with no distance gained. Really tough access to the green, and we see a lot of players make or break a good round on hole 16. Kristin with a good placement shot to exactly that walking path I mentioned, a small road there. Anneli comfortable with the big hyzers. We see her placing herself a touch shorter than Kristin. Didn't look like she put too much on it, I think, looking to pitch up further down the fairway before crossing with that placement shot. You'll see Catrina and how aggressive she chooses to get, sitting at 2 over par. I'm sure not the round she wished to have put together so far, although still finding some great shots. And that one too will work just fine. Henna might once again want to display her power and use it as a tool here to separate herself from the field. She has pushed this one on the inside line hyzer. She is trucking towards danger. And unfortunately, will need to re-tee. However, this is her second given the rule set. Anneli now looking to place this as close to the left side OB as she can without crossing it. She's done a beautiful job. From there, she can look to go to the island and try to find her par. Cat here to do the same. And another nice placement from her. Both her and Anneli executing their game plans very well. If you are playing for par, that's exactly where you want to be. Kristin playing the forehand, which I like, fading away from the out of bounds to the left, hanging it out over the OB. Although it leaves her with a slightly longer shot, we see Henna was able to sneak inbounds. Looking now to play to the island. Huge swinging hyzer. She's going to hope for this to spike in to reduce the ground play, and she fires just long. She will need to throw again without a penalty. Looking to make A small change to her line now. A lot of distance left to the green. And unfortunately, she is still just barely shy on the hay bales. Another attempt, and she sticks it, sneaking that one over. She perseveres, and it pays off as she finds herself on the island. You can see why this hole can be just so demanding. As you keep missing each one, not only are you running out of discs in your bag that are appropriate for the shot, just like that one from Kristin, she is absolutely parked. We'll be taking a stress-free 4. You also begin to rack up the strokes, and making no progress if you don't stick the island can really be quite a mental challenge for players, throwing and throwing and throwing if you don't stick it. Catrina Allen, though, no problem. Played the game plan nicely. Anneli now to do the same. Just a short crossing from an ideal spot on the fairway, and both of them sticking the island very nicely. We have Henna up first. An important moment as she gets it just a little bit low, currently sitting at even. She will find some strokes over par on this hole at the end. A really difficult hole to put on the 16th position of an 18-hole course, because, as mentioned, it really can make or break a round. How you do on 16 is a great determining factor of how your round looks at the end. We see a very solid par from Kat, Kristin, and Anneli playing the safe play, and unfortunately for Henna there, a triple bogey, trying to get aggressive. You see just why on hole 16 many players opt for the 4. Hole 17, a 110-meter par 3 looking downhill with a significant right to left slope. Players throwing backhand can very quickly find the left side OB, as you see the basket just a few meters upwards of that line. Given how steep it is, it's very common anything coming in too hot will simply skip or roll. And also on the putt, the roll is very possible, as players will need to find chains or nothing ideally to settle on the hill. A lot of backhands will be turned over to try and avoid fading left OB. We have Kristin up first, also with a great height there to avoid the fade, although not enough to get the distance. It shows the conundrum of hole 17 nicely. Very difficult birdie. Anneli getting this flex out there with a slightly more stable disc, as you see exactly why you can't come in too fast to the green. She catches a quick skip, fires well OB to the left, although she'll be left with a putt for par 1 meter off that OB line. Catrina turning this one over with a lot of height. You see just how unstable the discs being thrown are to avoid that leftwards fade at all costs. Catrina Allen inbounds, but very far to the right. Will have a tough approach even going downhill. We see Henna getting aggressive with the big flex and an amazing shot to shape the fairway and be safe the whole way. Even didn't find as much ground play as potentially expected, as she's still upright on the hill. Kristin with a great use of the slope to pull her putt to the basket there. This is Henna for birdie. And she just touches them on her way by. Extremely close. This is Catrina here. A death putt downhill and just a touch low. Difficult to give that the full confidence. As she gives the little turbo tap in for 3. Hole 17. Very difficult. This is Anneli for par. And a great connection there. You saw that she had the distance, just a little bit too much flair to the end of her shot as she continues to take the pars. That was a great putt there to save that. Still sitting at 1 under for the round. Henna connecting with that for her par. Hole 17 in round 1 went unbirdied in the FPO division. Very difficult hole, as we see some easy pars though for our competitors, and a stoic look for Kristin on her way to the final hole. Hole 18, a legacy hole where history has been made time and time again. A 213 meter par 5. You have this initial fairway to hit going straight off the tee with OB to the left and right. These competitors will need to control their turn and fade precisely while biting off as much distance as possible. The fairway then bends 90 degrees to the right up a hill where you need a lot of power to crest, and then as you battle your way towards this stage, the OB sneaks in on the left and you have a narrowing to the green. A beautiful hole, OB on all sides the entire way, looking to test our players' execution as well as mental composure at the end of a round. We have Kristin up first, looking to be shaping the forehand. Pushing that left OB nicely, having to utilize the width of the fairway, something quite overstable, just crashing in there. Anneli going for the backhand. She will need to ensure that this does not fade out left too early. Going downhill, it's very easy with the extra airspace to fade, and you see as a result, playing to the right side, she catches a tree along the way. Not too much distance off that one. Catrina playing the power forehand as well, something quite overstable, but into the ground. It doesn't catch the edge and complete the ground play. I think had a lot of steam left in it. If it was able to find the hyzer angle, would have kept going. And Henna here, really pushing that left side. Maybe a fortunate kick. I don't know how much turn that disc had left in it. Very potentially could have just kept her safe, and even kicking a little bit forwards. I think still able to attack for birdie off that shot. Catrina up first, giving this a little shortcut crossing, but coming up just shy of inbounds. She will receive a penalty stroke and have to play from the short side of the corner. Anneli looking to do the same, but a significantly more overstable finish, and she's actually pushing the other OB line, although receives applause from the crowd. Should be no problem for her. This is Kristin, her second shot, going forehand on this hole. Just trying to shape it nicely up the hill. And she has done just that. Worked her way to an ideal location, given herself good placement off the tee in order to attack on her second and third shots. Very nicely done, and just sneaking her way around these OB lines. Cat here going standstill forehand. And also positioning herself center fairway, just where you want to be. Henna really trying to pump this one up the hill, and she too sneaks her way just in bounds. Very fortunate she was playing with fire there. Anneli from this left side, gonna need a huge hyzer up the hill if she wants to hit the green, or just playing the placement shot, also very possible. And she pushes that up there to about circle's edge, if not a little bit outside in circle 2. Henna throwing the spike hyzer now, trying to access the green, and an amazing touch. She hits the base of the pedestal the basket sits on. Henna Blomroos with a strong final throw. Catrina here doing the same, I believe, sneaking just behind the basket from that angle. Looked to be a great touch. Kristin going forehand here on hole 18, and she has stuck it just at bullseye's edge. An incredible display of a game plan executed. Really nicely done, and a great control of the distance and angles. As we see that long putt there, fire towards OB and find it. Catrina to end on a strong note after a tough round, and she does. Finds the bogey save on 18 for a total round 1 of 3 over par. We see Anneli now, and she does make that putt. That is for her. Also a bogey save ending at even. We see her on the par train here in the back nine until the final hole. And a birdie from Kristin Tattar. Surgical execution of this hole. 3 incredible shots and then a putt. And from Henna as well. Navigating it just beautifully. This 213-meter uphill par 5. Keeping it in the fairway and showing off their distance. As we take a look at the standings after round 1, Kristin Tattar, your sole leader at 4 under par. In second place, Anneli Tõugjas-Männiste at even. In third place, Tele Tumsalu at 1 over. Henna, Missy, Jenny at 2 over, tied in 4th. Catrina, Evelina, Heidi, and Annika tied in 7th at 3 over. Kristin Tattar taking a dominating 4-stroke lead over second place. What an exciting front 9 and back 9 round 1 here on The Beast. We appreciate you joining us for this coverage. You can like, subscribe, leave a comment, and if you're feeling extra supportive, make sure to check out the MDG Patreon. We appreciate all of you for joining us here today, and make sure to tune in for round 2 as well as the later rounds to see who wins this amazing event.